Hello and welcome to another Gaming Stooges Talks. Today we have a review.
Oh boy.
It's a Pokemon. It's Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Oh boy, we're only
sign up for that review.
We're only like really late.
4 months late. That's okay though.
What if we did? How about we just do Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers Rescue Team?
We can do that next time.
Explorers Rescue Team though.
I forgot we actually did a review on Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue Rescue Team. But anyway, Pokemon Sword and Shield. So, if you haven't played a core series Pokemon game, why are you here? We're not going to go over that. I assume that if you're here listening that you've actually played the game, or at least know about Pokemon and would like to hear our thoughts on it. So, big changes to the game compared to the last couple generations. We got the removal of quite a lot of stuff, but I'll get to that after because there's a lot. They added Dynamaxing, which is a new mechanic for Pokemon to get really big and have their HP can go up to double, and their moves get really, really powerful, but their other stats don't change. So it's kind of like a weird way to fix Mega Evolutions and Z moves and stuff like that. Speaking of which, Z moves gone. Mega Evolutions gone. Half the Pokedex gone. For now, there's.
This is a review on the base games of Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield.
DLC
Nothing
will
to do
be
with the
adding
expansion pass.
Yeah, DLC will be adding back stuff. As of the posting of this review, we do not know exactly what stuff that is. They changed the way that gyms work now, in a way. They kind of hybridized the trials concept from the Pokemon Sun and Moon games, and then added that to the actual gym challenge from the previous games before that. So you have this sort of objective-based mission that you have to complete in order to get to the end of the gym. Same thing as every other game. You have 8 gyms. There's more emphasis on exclusive content between versions in these games, including a couple of the gyms are exclusive to each game, which is a first for the series. No, it was in Black and White as well, but it was just the character that was in charge for that one. Their Pokemon were basically the same. But we have, how many? There's 12? There's 10 gyms, but 2 of them are chosen based on which version you have. So you effectively have
8 gyms, and then they just switch the gym leaders for 2 of them, including their typing.
Yes. There's a new thing called Max Raid Battles, which they use the Dynamax and the similar Gigantamax mechanic, where Gigantamaxing is basically just an appearance change on top of a Dynamax. But you can fight these really big Pokemon, Dynamax, Gigantamax, and they will give you rewards. You can team up with up to 3 other players online, if the game will actually let you. Otherwise, you get to play with Martin and his Solrock that doesn't do anything.
Fuck that guy.
But yeah, you do get some CPU allies if you can't find actual players to play. And the raid battles, they actually kind of use the raid battling from Pokemon Go. Although it's a lot more robust, obviously, because you have the actual core gameplay of Pokemon intact. There's about 80 new Pokemon, which is pretty much par for the course between the last couple of games. They all have added about 80. There's a new region called Galar, which we'll get more into that later on. And with that comes a ton of new characters and a bunch of other stuff. Any comments on just the changes to the game, the main game mechanics that I may have missed?
Wild encounters are how Let's Go did it, where you actually see the Pokemon.
Yes.
Except for in some grasses, there'll be grass will shake, and then you can run into that specific piece of grass.
So yeah, there's a hybrid of Let's Go and the shaking grass mechanics of Pokemon Black and White, where you'll see the Pokemon on the overworld and you can engage them. But yeah, like you said, you can also find some Pokemon sometimes too.
I'm not sure if you would call this like a addition, but like there is the wild area.
Yeah. We'll get more into the wild area when we talk about the region, because there's quite a bit to talk about there.
Okay.
Anything else you wanted to add?
I think that's about it.
Yeah. I did forget to mention TMs are back, and but they've shifted pretty much the whole list, and they've added, in place of the move tutors that we've been accustomed to in the past, we now have technical records, or TRs, that you can get from max raid battles and mostly that. But most of the moves that are assigned to the TRs are what most of the better TMs were in previous games. So effectively, a lot of the TMs went back to being single use that you have to acquire, and the new TMs are like kind of lower tier moves for the most part. That basically covers all the changes. Characters and region, we got the Galar region, which, as we mentioned before, it's a more traditional region in the sense that it's not like Alola, where Alola was a budding region that had no actual gym challenge established yet, so they used trials. With Galar, you do have the gyms, and they put a lot of emphasis on them. I'll let someone else talk more about that once I'm finished with this, because I'm sure that someone else would like to talk about the gyms. But with the Galar region, you have a ton of new characters. There's a new set of gym leaders. You have a new rival named Hop. You have the champion, who's actually your rival's older brother. His name's Leon. He gets introduced pretty much right away. He's famous across the region for apparently being undefeated, which is kind of an interesting thing that they decide to do. You have this evil team, quote unquote, because they're not actually evil, called Team Yell, and they're actually big fans of another rival, because you get 3 rivals in this game, and they support that character and their endeavors. Her name is Marnie, and then there's another character, Bede. Each of these rivals, they all have their own little thing their own little lane that they take up, and we'll get a little bit more into that in the story section, because they kind of comprise the best parts of the story, if I may say so myself. Other than that, it's pretty much your standard set of characters from a Pokemon game. You got a professor, you have their assistant, who is very attractive, and you also have some sort of like other antagonist that you can fight as well. More into that a little bit later. But yeah, pretty much standard stuff. Anyone else want to share?
In terms of gyms, I like how they did it in this game. Actually, I like how they make gyms feel like important. They make them like a really big fucking deal.
They do. Like, they do make them a really big deal.
And it's like they have crowds, and like it's pretty nuts. And like they just treat it like such a huge deal. Like when you get all eight badges, they're like, "Whoa, I can't believe you did that!" Like, yeah, I guess I did.
They kind of treat it like Major League Sports, where everybody's paying attention, and it's pretty cool.
And I do like how they incorporated like the trials from Sun and Moon, because I wasn't much a fan of the trials themselves. Like, mostly the lack of gym leaders in Sun and Moon was just kind of like, why? Lennon, do you have any thoughts on anything?
Anything?
Yeah,
anything at all?
we need plus or minus points.
Plus or minus points for characters or anything region based, or for any of the stuff we talked about so far at all.
We're like 10 minutes into this review and you haven't said anything about that.
For the viewers at home, Landon has a very sporadic point system that makes these reviews really exciting.
I don't give a crap about them removing Z moves, so whatever there. But -1 for no Mega Evolutions, because that was interesting, and I use those sometimes. Oh yeah, we start at 5 points. Let's see, what else? Dynamax, it's kind of throwaway, because it's like, yeah, you just made the JPEG slightly bigger. Whatever.
Yeah. It's like I don't know why they keep trying to like reinvent Mega Evolutions. Like Z moves were kind of stupid, and like Dynamaxing is like I guess it serves its purpose in like a gym leader setting because it's like a huge stadium and then the Pokemon gets real big. But like
Yeah.
I don't know, like Mega Evolutions are just like a much more interesting mechanic because some Gigantamax forms you know, or Pokemon that can Gigantamax like have different forms, but like you need to like go out of your way to catch a specific version of that Pokemon that can.
Which is not something you have to worry about with Mega Evolutions, where any Pokemon that had the stone that could Mega Evolve could do it.
Which is a better way of doing it, in my opinion.
I do like the fact that with Dynamaxing, they essentially allow every Pokemon to be the choice of what you decide to give that boost. Because while some Pokemon can Gigantamax, any Pokemon can Dynamax. And I like that, but at the same time, I just feel like their attempt at doing that was just kind of like slapped together. And if not for the story, it really feels like it was just kind of like thrown in.
Yeah.
The raid missions are kind of whatever. I mean,
I like raids. I think it's a natural evolution for the series, personally.
it's fine. It's just I've never I've probably done like 4 or 5, and it was never out of, oh, I need to go do this, because I want this specific Pokemon. I always felt like it was a hassle to, try and find one, and then find one for a Pokemon I actually cared about catching.
Right.
So
the wild area, we may as well get into it. It contains the max raid battles that we end up doing, that you'll end up doing a lot of if you want to do like a lot of like grindy post-game stuff. The wild area is their big, expansive area in the Galar region that takes up a large chunk of the southern half of the region. And you can kind of freeform go around this area. It's almost like, so the rest of the game's region is basically like any other Pokemon game when it comes to exploring it. But the wild area is kind of open world-ish because it's all one big area that you can go around. There'll be different little sections that you can go to, and they have different Pokemon. There's tons of these little, like, I can't remember what they call them, but there's these little locations that you can have a raid battle if there's like a pillar of light. The dens, there it is. Thank you. That will pop up, and then you can have the raid battles with that. There's a Pokemon camp that you can like take care of your Pokemon, and you can make curry.
+1 for camping, +1 for curry.
Camping is basically the replacement for Pokemon Ami and Pokemon Refresh from the previous generations. Personally, I don't care for the curry aspect, but I do like Pokemon Camp because it basically just throws the concept of being able to take care of your Pokemon, but kind of stepping it up a bit, because instead of it just being one Pokemon at a time, you have your whole party that's just kind of chilling out there, and you can interact with any of them at will by moving around the camera and everything. So it's a lot more cohesive and well put together, I'll say.
I like the curry because it's a fun, I don't know. I liked mixing berries in, Gen 3, and that's probably about as far. I probably did some Poffins in Gen 4, but then didn't really care past, that.
Yeah.
So any, the mixing stuff. This one was fine because it gave you an experience boost, so you could, quickly, all my Pokemon get a quick experience boost, because I just, we all hung out and had food, and I burnt toast on top of curry.
And that's actually a pretty good point, is that the curry and also the rewards you can get from max raid battles are tangible rewards that you can boost your team with. So it is something worth doing if you're trying to, get your team leveled up and stuff like that. And it is very helpful because there's, some really you can get these experience candies from the raid battles, and your Pokemon can get boosted 10 levels. So it's a very helpful area overall. it also is active outside of the wild area too, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but there's also the YCOM, which basically replaces the Festival Plaza and is a lot more like the PSS from Pokemon X and Y, although it doesn't seem to have quite as many features, but it is your hub for connecting and trading, and it is vastly improved in the sense that you don't have to stick around when you're like trading. You can just kind of throw a Pokemon up there for trade and then just do whatever you want and then come back later, and maybe you got your Pokemon traded, maybe you didn't. Like, whatever happens, and it's pretty cool. It also will like let you know and let others know like little accomplishments that you've done, like, oh, the last thing you did was catch this Pokemon, or the last thing this person did was they beat this gym leader. Like, it's a pretty neat system. I think they could have added more features, but at the same time, it's still a step up from the Festival Plaza, so I think we're heading back in the right direction when it comes to online connectivity.
Yeah. And then as far as characters go, for Hop and Marnie, +1. The other kid, he can go
+1 for each of them, or just both of them?
Together.
Okay.
Yeah. The other kid, he can go back to an orphanage or whatever.
Oh.
And -2 for Leon, -2 for his beard, and -2 for his damn Charizard. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Jack, did you have anything to add?
I like the characters in this game. I mean, like, yeah, Leon's kind of annoying because, yeah, I mean, he doesn't shut the fuck up about his goddamn Charizard. But I like Hop. People, like, really hated him for some reason, and I'm like, why?
I think the hate's mostly gone away. And I'll get into more why I like the rival characters in the story section, because, like I said, they do tie in really heavily to the story.
Fuck.
I agree that I'm not the biggest fan of Leon. I think he's okay overall as a champion, but you'll pretty much get sick of the whole Charizard thing really quick. They talk about the Charizard all the time. They're always like, oh, Leon and his Charizard is so cool. Charizard's so awesome. And it's just like,
I give him credit for actually being like a pretty challenging champion.
I'll give him credit for being an active champion, because there's some games where like the champion doesn't like take a whole lot of action in their region and helping make sure everybody's okay and everything's, doing fine. Leon's always hanging out around Galar, always helping make sure everything's okay. Like, that man doesn't sleep. That man doesn't rest. That man just lives, breathes, and just oozes Pokemon and Galar.
He's a nice person who just talks about his Charizard too much, and also his beard is stupid. Yes,
his beard is stupid. So yeah, if you guys didn't have anything else to say, I guess we can move right on to the story.
No. Who's the two gym leaders? Ice Mom and
oh yeah, Melanie,
Gordy and Melanie.
Not Gordy. I don't care about Gordy.
Just Melanie.
Melanie, and then what's the name of the fighter chick again?
B.
Yeah. +1 for each of them.
Each of them. Oh, okay.
The gym for Melanie / Gordy is fine. I thought it was like an interesting gym. Gordy's team was like kind of whatever, but he did have a Shuckle, so there's that. So he gets half a point.
I was literally about to say, do we get half a point for the Shuckle?
We get half a point for at least having Shuckle on his team.
Do we get half a point for Shuckle in the game at all?
Right. So we're gonna move on to the story. The story, for the most part, up until like a certain point, it's basically traditional flair. You are an up and coming trainer. You're going through the region. You're collecting badges. There's an intertwining concept of the whole Dynamax thing. Apparently, it uses up some sort of energy, or disperses energy when it happens, and I guess it's tied to very closely to the Galar region. They're basically Chairman Rose, who orchestrates the gym challenge as a whole, is in charge of overseeing that whole thing, and things don't go well, we'll say. I mean, he has good intentions, but if, like, they're not big spoilers, but here's the part where we're gonna have spoilers, so if you don't want to listen, then this is where we're gonna warn you. Chairman Rose, he ends up kind of like going off the deep end, and he like decides, I'm gonna awaken Eternatus, which is the evil third legendary Pokemon that confronts Zacian and Zamazenta, and you have this fight with this giant, like almost got Gigantamax kind of version of Eternatus, which is actually, they call Eternamax because it has its own like thing, and you have a raid battle in story with Leon.
And
or no,
Hop.
yeah, with and then with
Hop.
with Zacian and Zamazenta, they also help you out. And then leading up to that, you also have to like fight the organization that he's part of, Macrocosmos, and they seem like a bunch of jerks. It's kind of like right near the end too, because you don't really have any confrontation with them up till then. But that's what happens. The three rivals, they all take different paths. You have Marnie, who is probably slightly related to the plot at hand because she is related to the 7th gym leader Piers, and Piers helps you in your attempt to go stop Chairman Rose, which I thought was an awesome part of the story, an awesome part of the game in general. I just thought it was really cool.
Full stop on this discussion real quick.
Yes.
What the fuck is with Piers' hair?
I agree.
It looks like it smells bad.
Yeah, it's weird, but Piers
All right, continue.
Yeah.
I just needed. What the fuck is with his hair?
Yeah. So yeah, Marnie, she basically takes Piers' place in the post game as the gym leader, and Bede as well also ends up kind of reforming. He's still kind of a douche, but he eventually reforms after he learns that, you know, being a douche doesn't really pay off, and he takes the place of Opal, who is, I think, the 5th gym leader of the region. The fairy type gym leader. He takes her place, which is kind of fitting because he starts off with psychic types, but also like psychic fairy hybrids, and then he just goes full fairy after that. Hop, he
You said full fairy.
Hop, he eventually he gets really discouraged because he's been beaten so much, and he doesn't think he'll be like this great champion. But in the post game afterwards, you actually have some extra story that is very important for Hop, as well as the legendary. Up till then, you just have an encounter with them, but you don't fight them. They're just like on your side helping you fight Eternatus. But the post game is where you actually get to encounter Zacian or Zamazenta, depending on your version, and you have to fight these two guys, Shieldbert and Swordward. And oh my god, they're fucking dicks. Their hair is stupid. They, as like characters, are annoying, and I know that's exactly why they're there. They're supposed to be annoying, but goddamn are they insufferable. But Hop and you get to do, like, you get to fight them a bunch of times, and then you actually get to fight both Zacian and Zamazenta. The one that's opposite your game is going to be corrupted, and you basically are just fighting to set them free. You don't get to catch them. And then you get to fight the legendary that is actually on your box, depending on the game that you chose, and you get to catch them. So I thought it was cool that you get to do both. And then Hop actually gets the other one, and you get to have a fight with him, and he is chosen as the other hero of Galar, because the two Pokemon are like chosen heroes, so to speak. That basically
I'm gonna
should do
fix
it for
the
the
story.
story. Yes.
I'm gonna fix the story really quick.
Gonna fix the story.
So at one point, there is Dynamax Pokemon that are just happening around the world. Make it to where I fucking run into one of those, and I have to actually fight a Dynamax outside of a den.
Yeah,
as part of the story.
Yeah, because the only other time that you fight the Dynamax Pokemon outside of a gym or a den, I mean, you're still fighting them in a gym, but like they're the rogue ones that you have to calm down during the post-game story, and that's it.
Yeah. But there are ones that Leon apparently fights in the wild.
And you don't get to do that.
Yeah, you don't have anything. They explicitly say, don't worry about that, just continue on your gym challenge. And I go, no, just let me encounter one. 2, they do it rarely. Have more of the trainers you fight actually be people that are trying to do the gym challenge outside of your rivals, because you run into some people and they're like, oh, I'm giving up on the gym challenge because I can't beat it or whatever. It would have been more interesting because there's more of a focus on the gym challenge itself. It would have been like more interesting for more trainers to be like actually actively part of attempting to get all the badges.
That's a good point, because
that would have been better for that.
Yeah, because now that I think about it, like, while they do place a heavy emphasis on the gym challenge while you're in the cities, when you're on the routes and everything, it feels like an afterthought, because, like, nobody there really is paying any attention. Like,
yeah, no one does. And then I guess make the importance of why Dynamaxing Pokemon and like the whole energy thing more in your face a little bit.
At least make it more important sooner, because like they just kind of toss it in near the end.
Yeah, it's really like just kind of there, and I'm like, all right, fine. I mean, they talk about it when you like first get to whatever town that is. I forget what town it is at this point.
Hammerlock?
We're so far removed.
Yeah, Hammerlock.
Yeah, it's because that's the one that has the generator in it.
Yeah.
But they don't really talk about it like enough to where that's actually why, stuff's happening, and you just kind of go, huh, okay. So a little bit more focus on that would have helped the story out a lot. It's a Pokemon game. And on top of that, it's a core Pokemon game, not a side game. So I don't expect the world out of the story, but that's just a couple things that help improve it.
Like we've done better in the past. We've had Generation 5, we've had Sun and Moon. Like we know that we can expect better from Pokemon when it comes to the story. And while the characters, quite a lot of them are great, the story just isn't there.
Yeah, I don't know. Story's fine. It's like, we've had worse, but we've had better, I guess. I'd say, the characters, the characters are stronger than the story itself. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have to be amazing, but, like, it's just kind of whatever. It's like, of course, Chairman Rose is going to be the villain. Spoilers. Team Yell doesn't really do anything. Yeah, it's alright, I guess. I was gonna say, I just kind of feel like the story doesn't really go a whole lot of anywhere until, like, kind of late in the game.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, implies things are going to happen soon until it gets to a point where things finally happen, and then everything happens at once.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like,
there's previous games where it's like something happens here, there's a little bit of a wait, something happens here. The entirety of the story for Sword and Shield up until things actually happen is just people saying something's gonna happen, and then we're just like okay.
Yeah, as shitty as the story and the characters were in X and Y, at least the story kind of like happened a little bit.
Yeah.
Throughout the game. But yeah, I don't know.
Alright, so we're gonna move on to the graphics, the music,
the
sound.
Gramfix.
The graphics?
The Gramfix.
The Gramfix.
Gramfix.
Alright, so this is not the first core series game technically on the Switch, because according to Game Freak and Nintendo, they considered Let's Go, Eevee, and Pikachu core series games, but this is the first real Pokemon game experience on the Switch because this is the first with all the core gameplay mechanics. So this is the first time we get to see like a lot of the Pokemon with their new models. You get to see the new Galar region. I'm gonna say I'm not as negative as some people might be, but I'm also definitely not very positive on the graphics as a whole. I believe that some of the towns and some of the routes, a couple of them here or there, look great, especially the towns. Some of the towns look amazing. Ballonly, whatever, the fairy one.
That one's
like,
a great town.
Yeah, it's like a forest with like glowing mushrooms. Ballonly, a couple other towns. They all look really great. The models for the houses and the character models.
I like the desert town.
Oh yeah, the desert town.
The place, the place where the graphics really take a hit is the wild area.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I mean, like the Switch can fucking handle like open world better than this. I mean, look at fucking Xenoblade 2.
Xenoblade 2.
Xenoblade 2.
Breath of the Wild. Thankfully, the wild area is the major area where the game does not look good, because the character models look really good. The Pokemon models as well look really nice. They did a good job with the shading and the coloring for all of the characters. They all pop really nicely. I think there's nothing really wrong there.
I would say the biggest, outside of the wild area, the biggest area that needs improvement is the battle animations.
Yes, because the animations I didn't get into.
You know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna say -3 for the battle animations. I did it. I went there.
Oh shit.
There's a thing with the animations. Some of them look fine, but there's so much like weird shit that happens. If you go up a ladder, like everything just kind of freezes around you until you're done climbing the ladder. If you run into certain Pokemon, sometimes their models on the overworld behave a little weird and sporadic until you actually decide to go fight them.
It's kind of lackluster. I mean, some of it is reused from previous gen, from the 3DS era. They were just like, all right, slap it over, we'll do good. But then, yeah, some of it is very much just really needs to be, in the oven for another, honestly, another 6 months on this game. 4 to 6 months on this game would have done it a hell of a lot more. It would have done a lot more for the game in this particular area, and that's where probably my biggest complaints are for this, because the story has its pacing issues, and then Leon's Leon, and Dynamaxing's Dynamaxing, whatever. The other area is I feel like there's not enough new Pokemon. I like the new Pokemon that were introduced in this game, and that's not something we did a large section on. Is there's a lot of fun new Pokemon and a lot of decent Galar forms for previous Pokemon, but definitely the animations is where I would say this game suffers the most. Out of anything. Music's fine. I enjoy them.
So
music.
The
music ranges from okay to really good, because there is actually some really good music in this game.
Yeah.
But I want to say there's only a handful of songs that I remember though.
Yeah.
But I don't. I remember the wild area, of course, because you spend fucking forever there.
Right.
And I love the gym leader theme.
Gym leader theme is pretty good.
I love it when it goes to their last Pokemon, because it really tries to build that suspense as to what's going to happen. Because you really get the roar of the crowd in there. Because, like we mentioned earlier, there's a focus on how the gyms have crowds. People watch the gym leader fights. and so like having the crowd shouting during that, and that takes over like quite a bit during the last phase of the fight, is just fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, musically
So I'll
the
give
game.
that one a +1.
Oh, +1. Musically, the game is pretty good. I think that, like Jack said, there's some kind of forgettable stuff, but there are some tunes that are really, really good. I was not personally expecting the theme for the Chairman Rose fight. It is far more epic than it has any right to be. And the fights with the music for the fight with Zacian and Zamazenta in the post game is probably one of my favorite legendary battle themes in the entire series. I'm actually not kidding. Like, I think there's certain themes in the Pokemon games now that like they do a really good job of making you feel like it gives you the sense of like all of the culmination of your adventures just kind of like come back to you when you listen to this song. The Island Kahuna theme was something that really caught me in Sun and Moon, and Zacian and Zamazenta's theme is the theme that does that for me in this game. The sound effects are pretty decent. They touched up a lot of the older sound effects, made them sound a little bit like crisper. The Pokemon cries, I haven't been a fan of the direction they've been going with them since Gen 6. Like, they kind of like mellow out and kind of like make a lot of the Pokemon cries sound forgettable, but like they sound fine. Overall, the sound quality of the game is pretty good. It's not like blow me away amazing, but it's also not bad either. I mean,
Yeah. So minor spoilers for the Elite Four here. So instead of here is 4 people fight them and then the champion, it's actually a tournament, which is more interesting, I would say. So all the gym leaders have like a souped up team, and then they serve as part of the Elite Four. Essentially, there's 2 rounds. There's semifinals and there's a finals. So in the semifinals, you fight against gym leaders, and then in the finals, you fight your rivals in the semifinals. You fight your rivals in the semifinals.
I was gonna say, yeah, you fight your rivals in the semifinals. Yeah. You fight the gym leaders in the finals, and then yeah,
and then Leon is the last fight because he's the champion. I like that. I mean, especially since they give you, so many rivals nowadays. It caps off their stories, and then you get to revisit the gym leaders who obviously have like strong teams that they just they dial back for certain teams for the gym challenge, but you get to challenge them at like their full
potential. Yeah.
I do like it, but like at the same time, I also just miss Elite Fours, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like Sun and Moon's Elite Four was definitely an afterthought because like 3/4 of them were, people you've already fought before. In Gen 6, it was just fucking easy. But give me a challenging Elite Four again.
Yeah, it's like the last, like the Elite Four from the first 5 generations straight was perfectly fine, and it'd be nice to have an Elite Four that really feels like, okay, this is an intense endgame moment again. Like, it is cool to have the final tournament, and I do like how I guess I kind of like how at least the story segment of the game, they like throw the Chairman Rose stuff and like the this stuff all in there right before the final match with Leon, and then you get to fight Leon after that. But
it's like bring back original Elite Four members.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure. Overall, I mean, the games are good. They're very, very flawed. Holy crap. There's so many flaws. But at the same time, I did have fun with the game. I did enjoy my time with it, but like, I would not at all call this one of my favorite Pokemon games, and I'm not sure where I would put it in terms of like the rankings of like other generations. Probably below Gen 4. like right below Gen 4, if I had to say. I don't know. It's still a fun enough time. It's just like there's just a lot of problems with it, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of fuck. I don't know. I'm repeating myself at this point, but like there's a lot of things they did good. You know, I like the gym leaders. I like the new Pokemon. The new Pokemon are really cool. I do like the wild area. It was, in terms of presentation, it looks like crap, but like I do like the idea behind it. I think the region is good, but I wish it was like a little more non-linear, because it's kind of just like you're going in a straight line from like bottom of region to top of region. And you know, that's, I don't know. It's a fine enough region. There were some cool areas in it, and you know, characters are fun, story is whatever. Overall, yeah, it's a fun enough time, but there are better Pokemon games out there.
All right.
Obviously.
So my thoughts on this game, I will try to be as brief as I can, because we are, holy fuck, I thought we were gonna be done this like at least 20 minutes ago. But I think the games are okay. They're not bad. Like Jack said, they are very flawed. That, in a sense, they kind of remind me of like Red and Blue or Diamond and Pearl, where they are very sloppy in some senses, but they still have this weird charm factor, and they still are really fun to the point that you can forgive a lot of those faults. The new Pokemon that they introduced, a lot of them are really cool. Some of them not so much, but a lot of them are really cool. I like that they decided to give some old Pokemon again some evolutions, but they also added a twist where they're based on the new regional variants that they've added, which is a thing that they've been doing, like regional variants since Generation 7, which is a cool idea. I do like that. I am not at all really a fan of the story for the most part. I like the characters, but the story itself is kind of just forgettable. Throw it in the trash. I couldn't care less. We've had Pokemon games that have had good stories, so I'm not excusing Pokemon for being Pokemon here. They could definitely have done better. But characters-wise, I actually think Hop, Bede, and Marnie, especially Hop, God, I can't believe that people hated on him so much, because he is probably one of my favorite rivals.
Because people are stupid.
He is actually probably one of my favorite rivals in the whole series. He goes through an evolution, and that's all I really want in a rival, is I want a character who is going to evolve as my journey continues, and he does that. He starts off as this character who's just really confident and blindly just going into the world, and then he just really takes a step back and he analyzes himself and he gets better as a character. So yeah, he's one of my favorite rivals. The wild area is conceptually decent, but like we've said, the presentation is ass. I really like max raid battles though. I just wish that they were kind of handled a little bit better. They're just kind of thrown around the wild area, and that's about it. But them as an addition to the core series, I like that. I think that they should continue doing some sort of raid battle type mechanic going forward. It's just something that's really nice way to break up the regular battling gameplay. Just overall, the region Galar, like Jack said, it feels very linear. Like, people have shit on regions like Unova for feeling linear, but Unova, I go back and play it, and it has a bunch of side areas that are optional that you can do. And it just feels like Galar, like, they really just didn't have time to cook it. Like Landon said in other facets, like, there's a lot with the animations he mentioned earlier. A lot of this game feels undercooked. I feel if they had more time, they probably would have been able to do a much better job with it. It's clear that they had a lot of desire to do really good with this game, but I just feel like they didn't have the time to actually execute it. It is overall a good game. They make some changes that are very important. I like the YCOM and how you can do a lot of your internet connectivity passively in the background and not have to interrupt your gameplay to do that. And stuff like the Pokemon box being carried over from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, where you can just kind of access it whenever. Being able to remember moves in the Pokemon centers without having a hard skill or anything. Like, all these little changes, they did a really good job overall of improving the core gameplay. I just feel like the presentation that they put alongside it needed a lot more work. But overall, I'm going to give this game like a 7.5, a soft 8. It is a ton of fun. The graphics are pretty good most of the time. The sound is pretty good most of the time. The characters really carry this region to much farther than it would have had potential otherwise. And the core gameplay does make a lot of improvements, even if it does cut back on a certain few things, like not having all of the Pokemon, which thankfully will be addressed with DLC. But overall, it's good. It's a pretty good game.
Jack, did I +1 for Sonya?
No.
Okay, +1 for Sonya. I was just thinking of all this, of what I wanted to do.
Before you go into what you're saying, because it seems like you need a second, I did want to mention where Jack had mentioned where he would put the games, like ranking them. I would probably put mine, put Sword and Shield for me kind of like near the bottom middle. It is definitely better than like X or Y in my opinion, or Diamond or Pearl. Diamond and Pearl themselves, not Platinum, because Platinum is much better. But like it's better than those two just because of the way that they go about a lot of things. But at the same time, like it's not as good as like Ruby or Sapphire or Black or White or Gold or Silver.
We need a third game. We need a third game to fix all of the graphical problems. Pokemon Gun when?
Pokemon Gun.
They could just put Persona 5 out on the Switch.
I mean, even if
or that too.
if they just if with the DLC that they come out with, if they just like decided under the hood, let's also just retexture the wild area, that'd be perfectly fine. Just do that. Landon, were you basically ready?
Did I do one for the new Pokemon?
No.
Okay. So I'll do it this way. +2 for the new Pokemon, but -1 for the amount of new Pokemon. I wish there was more, because I just focus usually the first time I play a game, at more than half of my team is comprised of new Pokemon. I generally, if I have old Pokemon on it, it's 1 or 2 slots at most. And that's usually been a thing since, probably Gen 4. So I was kind of I found it, a decent team, but there were some times I was like, man, it'd be really cool if there was a couple more for, all these different types. And then -1 for 1% encounters in tall grass and them not showing up in the overworld. Fucking pick an encounter style. Either make it random or make everyone on the open world. Don't do both. It makes, farming for Pokemon dumb. I hate it. Come on, Game Freak. Fix it. Alright, what are we at?
What are we at?
Yeah.
Landon's score for Pokemon Sword and Shield, 2.5.
Woo! Baby!
It's pretty spot on.
Listen, if you take away everything about Leon, this is an 8.5.
Oh Jesus!
There you go. Leon killed this game. Leon fucking killed this game. No. 2.5. This game was fine. I enjoyed it. I put my time into it. I think I enjoyed, I'm not gonna lie, I think I enjoyed Let's Go more, but that's because of, it was fresh. It was the catching mechanic was fresh, and it was the first game that had Pokemon on the open world, so I enjoyed that. But there was a multitude of stuff on this one that I very much enjoyed. It was fun. It's not my least favorite. That award still goes to Gen 6, and I doubt that'll change anytime soon. But like the others, it's probably on my lower half. Maybe that's a Gaming Stooges talk we could do, guys. We could rank the Pokemon games. That would be fun.
Ooh.
No. So this game's fine. It's regardless of what I have to say about it, you're probably either on one side of the fence where you're like, I'm never buying another Pokemon game again, or you already bought it and you gave Game Freak your money. So it doesn't really matter. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. Like I said, I just wish there was more new Pokemon. And I probably would have been quite a bit more happy with my experience on the game.
All right. So,
But tell us what you thought about the game in the comments below.
Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you want to burn someone over it? Did you want to burn Game Freak over it? Did you want to throw this game in your Switch and play it all day? Like, tell us.
Did you want to throw rocks at Jack?
No!
I'm not even going to comment.
God damn it. Anyway, we will see you in the next video. Make sure to leave a comment, subscribe this, share it around. What? Did you have something you want to say?
I was going to say Discord, subreddit, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah. Social media accounts, we have those. And also, we recently passed 100 subscribers. That was a thing. Thank you, everyone, and see you next time.